Hello, many thanks for joining us on News Hour 2. My name is Sani Abdurrahman. We quickly start from the education sector, where the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, says the physics and business management papers scheduled for today have been postponed. The council said a new date will be communicated in due course for the writing of the papers. Meanwhile, 11 senior high schools are on the radar of WAEC following tip-offs on their intent to cheat. They are being closely monitored for evidence to validate the claims.
The office has rescheduled the phases 2 and 1 and business management 2 and 1 papers originally scheduled for today, Wednesday, 15 September 2021. A new date for the rescheduled papers will be communicated in due course. However, auto mechanics 2 and 1 will be administered today, 15 September 2021 at 2 p.m. as scheduled. Ladies and gentlemen, as a further step to safeguard the integrity of the examination, the Council has put in place the following measures. 1. Strict internal controls and compliance by staff to the security regulations of the Council. 2. Increased inspection and monitoring at the various centers. Additionally, the following schools, in respect of which tips were received on intents to cheat, are being closely monitored and evidence to validate the claims. Then the schools are Ejusu Senior High Technical School located at Ejusu, and Law Afianegba Senior High School at Afianegba, Tepa Senior High School at Tepa, Yeji Senior High Technical School at Yeji, King David College at Somenya, Adil College Sunyani, Christ the King Senior High School Obuasi, Modern Senior High School Pong, and another Modern Senior High School at Kintampo, Oyoko Methodist Senior High School, Glo Agogo Senior High School. The Council wishes to state that it remains focused on its mandate of conducting credible examinations at all levels. Despite the challenges, we are steadfast in our commitment to conduct the 2021 examinations.
WAEC has put stringent measures in place to safeguard the integrity of the ongoing WASI. At a media briefing in Accra, the head of Test Administration Division of WAEC, Mr. George Ohinimate, disclosed that the activities of rogue websites, WhatsApp and Telegram groups are being tracked, and those found culpable would be sanctioned.
The activities of social media cartels, that is rogue websites, WhatsApp, Telegram groups, are in full force, with several versions of the questions being circulated on social media platforms. Some of the groups are Ruth, Jerusalem, Eminent Link, Mr. Robert, Success Room, Mr. Ayupak, Brotherhood, and WAEC Secret Helper. Our investigative team is tracking these websites or WhatsApp groups and has discovered their modus operandi, which include enticing candidates to part with money by posting several fake versions of questions, including past questions on social media, posting of actual questions on paid or for groups after receipt and opening of question paper packets at the center, solving of questions and posting of solutions on WhatsApp groups. With the passing of the Cybersecurity Act 2020 Act 1036, the prosecution of operatives of these fraudulent groups will be facilitated. We will want to urge parents, religious leaders, and well-meaning people in society to join us in advising our wards to stay away from these WhatsApp, Telegram groups and focus on their books.
Now, in order to strengthen credibility of the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, the Ministry of Education and WAEC are partnering to serialize examination question papers and set multiple versions of the same questions to make it extremely difficult for candidates to cheat at the examination centers. This was disclosed by the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Osei-Edichum, when he visited some selected senior high schools in the Greater Accra region where the examinations are being written. A report by Oforiwa Dako.
WAEC conducted WASI concurrently in Anglophone West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, the Gambia and Liberia, but later announced on March 20, 2020 that it has suspended the annual examination indefinitely due to COVID-19. Upon further discussions with Ghana, final year students were allowed to return to school and it was agreed that the exams would be held independently. This year, Ghana is rejoining its counterparts to write the examinations. This prompted the Education Minister's tour of some centers in the capital. According to the Sector Minister, Dr. Yao Osei-Edichum, government is capitalizing on collaborations with stakeholders in both the public and private sectors to eradicate examination malpractices. He also touched on how fraudsters swindle unsuspecting students and parents over fake papers.
It's within our authority to ensure that we stamp out exam malpractice, whether perceived or real. And that is what we have begun discussion with WAEC about. We are even talking about serialization, which means there can be about 5 to 10 versions of the same test. So if somebody creates a rogue website and says this question has leaked, there are about 10 versions. How do you know that question is even going to be in your school? Or even if it comes to your school, how do you even know that that will be the question that you're going to be answering?
Some of the centers the team visited were the Frafraha Community Senior High School SHS, West African SHS, and the Kwabenya SHS. At the Frafraha Community SHS, the minister interacted with some candidates before they started their English examination. He urged the candidates to remain focused and be disciplined as they continued to write the examination, so they do not have any challenge with the laws of the land.
They are halfway through the exams. I expect them to follow directions and do all the right things. Stay away from trouble. You don't go into a test and put yourself in a situation where you are going to get into trouble. So as we have exhorted, we have encouraged, we want them to focus on the exams and stay away from anything that it will distract.
In a related development, the two Deputy Ministers of Education, Reverend John Intimfojo and Mrs. Gift Chumampofo, also visited some selected examination centers in the Eastern region. For GBC News, Oforiwa Dako report.
In some of the day's other stories, let's stay with this education issue because of the importance it has. GBC News has been sampling the views of some people, a section of the public on the street of Accra as to how this will affect their plans for the WAEC examination that has been postponed. I'm in the papers today. In some of these other stories, President Akufo-Addo has launched the aluminium integrated. President Akufo-Addo has assured that all mining activities, specifically those in the forest, are done responsibly to protect the country's environment. His comments were made in the wake of concerns raised by some groups about mining of bauxite in the Etiwa forest. But the president says the EPA has sponsored work to develop biodiversity and hydrology study in the Etiwa forest to guide and inform the EPA on how mining activities are carried out in the forest.
A key area of attention in the development of this entire plan has been the focus on environmental issues with respect to the exploitation of our significant mining deposits. We believe that mining can and must be done in a responsible manner. Government, through its regulatory agencies, will act to protect our environment at all times. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has sponsored work to develop a biodiversity and hydrology study for the Etiwa Forest Reserve, which will guide and inform the EPA on how any activities are carried out in the forest. I would reiterate, the steps will be taken to ensure that all mining activities are done in a responsible manner in accordance with our regulations.
Now let's go back to our earlier story where some members of the public on the streets of Accra has been reacting to the suspension of papers today that were supposed to be written by students sitting for the exiting exams. WASI.
Yes, I'm aware, but we were not told that it has been cancelled. What WAEC told us is that they had a technical challenge. So the two papers for this morning have been postponed. Well, as usual, like students prepare for exams. So when you tell them that the paper has been cancelled, it has been rescheduled. If you tell them a paper has been postponed or rescheduled, definitely there will be a bit of, I don't know if to call it anxiety or something. But we explained to them and they understood that they would definitely write the paper, but at a later date. So they accepted it, and then those of them who don't have papers tomorrow went back home because this is a day school. But those who have papers tomorrow are still in the school studying.
My students were seated, and the assessor academic was at WAEC for the papers. Then he called that they are saying there's a technical hitch, so the papers will not be written today. They will give us a new date. Fortunately, one WAEC officer was around. So we asked whether he has also had any information. He said, in fact, there was something in the air like that. They should not rely so much on this so-called app. Concentrate on what the teachers have taught them. Fortunately, they were given question and answers. You see, sometimes they repeat them. Then I also told them that question and answers doesn't mean the questions we are going to answer is coming from the question and answers. No, it's a guide. So if you are treating this topic, then they give you a question. This is how it should be answered. So they can go through those ones. It doesn't mean the questions are coming from the book, but to guide them how to answer questions on some topics.
Yeah, we have a group chat, and then I heard that it has been cancelled. Even I was in the school. Yeah, and I heard like they were just coming out of the hall, and I asked them that was wrong, and then they said the papers have been cancelled. Look at how the school was up and down, and then at the end of the day, we are coming to write this was now, you are coming to... They shouldn't cancel it. At least maybe they've cancelled this one, so just bring a new paper for them. I think that will help. They shouldn't cancel everything. Yeah.
It was very disheartening because like a lot of students have learned a lot, like just write one paper, and they end up getting it that the paper has been cancelled. Because we've been learning for like 3 years now, and during these 3 years they are going to cancel our paper and stuff. It will delay us because we don't have much time.
They say the date has been shifted to 11th, so you might gain at least 5 days to prepare after your last paper. So I ask that you should prepare very well, but it's your final paper, because physics is a very tough subject.
Studying since 12 a.m., preparing for the paper, only to come and sit behind the desk and be told that it was cancelled.
In some of the day's other stories, the Foreign Affairs Minister and leader of the delegation to Guinea, Ms. Shelley Ayokobochi, says consultations are ongoing for the review of the ECOWAS Charter on coup d'etat in West Africa. Briefing the media in Accra, the minister said ECOWAS is looking at putting more stringent measures in place to forestall coups in the sub-region.
Probably what we should be looking at now, in view of what is happening, is to amend the charter so that ECOWAS can have more stringent measures proactively to deal with such situations. So it's something that is being looked at. I am told, I have not verified, that there is something that has been done. It hasn't gotten to the level of the Council of Ministers to go to the heads of state. But in view of all that is happening, I think it's something that maybe we should be looking at to actually forestall some of these situations. But when you do all the engagements that are necessary, whether it's from the heads of state level or from the level of the Council of Ministers, and the person says that this is my country, we are a sovereign country, there's not much that you can do. But applying pressure is what we can all continue as ECOWAS, as the African Union, international community at large, so that these things do not happen. So yes, probably the time has come for us to look at what to do to prevent such situations using very coercive means.
Still with this development, Ghana will host an extraordinary summit of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government tomorrow, September 16, 2021. 13 heads of states of the sub-regional bloc, excluding Mali and Guinea, will be participating in the Accra summit. At a media briefing in Accra, the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ms. Shirley Ayokobochi, said the meeting would consider the report of the delegation that went to Conakry on a fact-finding mission following the military takeover and decide on what to do to return Guinea to constitutional rule. Special forces led by Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya ousted Guinea's President Alpha Condé on September 5, 2021.
Let's not forget that no sanctions. The only sanction that has been placed at the moment on Guinea is the suspension of Guinea from ECOWAS. No other sanction has been slapped on them for now. What the presidents are going to do tomorrow is to consider the report and then decide on what to do. So I'm not saying that sanctions will be applied, but that may happen. The heads of state will, in their wisdom, consider the totality of the situation and then come up with decisions on what they would do concerning Guinea, to put pressure on the coup makers, the military, to return the country quickly back to constitutional rule. Because otherwise, if they're left, it could take forever.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Police Service says as a result of the extraordinary summit of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government at Kempinski Hotel tomorrow, about 100 police officers will be deployed to control traffic on some of the principal streets in Accra. At a media briefing, the Director of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Alexander Kwekubin, gave an outline of the affected streets.
From Opebia to Akwafu to Afrikiko to Akwaje interchange, then to Ridge Roundabout to National Theatre. This is the corridor that forms Independence Avenue and then Liberation Road from National Theatre, let's say, to Tetekwashi. But we are using the link between Opebia and then National Theatre. And you know, it's the spine of the road that we use during rush hour in Accra. And anytime you touch it, you are likely to have a spiral. And therefore, it will be temporary, as said. And that's why we have a lot of police officers deployed and motorized motor riders leading these convoys. So as and when the proceeding will, in a very short notice, clear the road for safe exit, and then open traffic. It's not going to be blocking it for such a long time. And that's why we are deploying as many motor riders as possible to assist in serving the heads of states and then the ministers that are coming to this summit.
In some other stories, the Minister for Roads and Highway has ordered the suspension of the collection of tolls at the toll booth in the central Gunja district of the Savannah region. The suspension took effect from 6 a.m. on Wednesday, 15th September 2021. The suspension is to ease traffic flow and mitigate discomfort to the traveling public while the Ghana Highway Authority carries out its periodic maintenance repair works on the approaches to the bridge and the toll booth area. Motorists are hereby advised to comply with all traffic management and safety measures that will put in place during the 4-week period of the repair works. Other stories: more than 200 pigs in 7 farms at Jankufa, a farming community in the German North District of the Bono region, have been destroyed after they tested positive for the African swine fever. Also known as swine fever, the virus is a highly contagious disease that affects domestic and wild pigs. The virus was detected last Tuesday after farmers in the area complained of several deaths of their animals, which necessitated the testing. Regional correspondent John Sam Arthur has been speaking with the Veterinary Services Department and joins us on phone with updates on this story. John Sam Arthur, what's the latest on this story? Has the spread been contained?
Yes, talking to the Bono Regional Director of the Veterinary Services, Dr. Donald Joachim Darko, he was very happy, elated actually, that so far the measures to ensure that the virus does not spread to other districts seems to be working. So a week on, the virus is still limited to Jankufa in the German North District where it was originally discovered. And like you said, about 200 pigs have already been culled. And according to Dr. Donald, it could have been more. It should have been more. Like, ideally, all animals within about an 8 kilometers radius should have, been culled or killed. But unfortunately, due to challenges with compensation payments, they've had to cut the culling of the animals, and rather concentrate on educating the farmers not to transport pork or pigs beyond the Jankufa area where the virus has been found.
John Samantha, I'm not cutting you. Am I getting the impression that some of the affected animals that ought to be have been depopulated have been spared as a result of the lack of trust on the part of the farmers who are of the view that they will not be compensated for the animals when culled?
Yes, I mean, talking to the veterinarians, I got the impression that they are not even broaching the topic because there are no funds to pay compensation. Because ideally, when you kill all the animals on somebody's pig farm, you should compensate a person. But they don't have the resources, they don't have the money available yet, and so they cannot do that. So the next best thing is to get the farmers to cooperate by ensuring that there are no movement of pigs or pig products. And then also, increase their biological controls, ensure that, there are no movement of pigs between the districts, the 12 other districts, and then German North. So far, that is what is saving the day. The farmers cooperating and ensuring that no pigs are moved beyond the 7 farms where originally the outbreak was discovered. And so far, so good, according to the veterinarian.
John, how are consumers of pork dealing with this issue? Are they kind of scared of consuming?
Yes. Well, basically, this virus does not affect human beings. It's limited to the animals. And so that seems to, so far, be sparing any fears about getting infected from eating the pork or pig products. It is limited to the animal. So all the danger is restricted to the animal. So far, the great business that is normally done in the pork arena, it has not been affected. Most big cities in the Bono and Bono Ahafo and Bono East regions are now doing very big business when it comes to pork eating. But so far, this has not been affected in any way because the outbreak is limited to only 1 district out of the 12 or 29 when you talk about the old Mahafu area. And then, since it has affected human beings, the eating of pork products has not been affected too much.
I must say this may be a kind of twin crisis that the Veterinary Services Department will be dealing with, even though we are yet to record cases of the bird flu outbreak in the region. How are they dealing with the situation on their parts?
Yes, exactly. So far, the bird flu, the Bono region has been spared. But when it comes to the African swine fever, then we still have one district that we all are working hard to ensure that it does not spread. But for now, for the farmers, the most important thing is the biological control, apart from making sure that you don't receive any pigs into your farm or you don't take pigs from your farm elsewhere. You must also ensure that the biological controls, you must have the chemicals to ensure that anybody that visits the farm is infected before he enters the farm, so as to ensure that they don't bring any contamination onto your farm. So vigilance, eternal vigilance on the part of the farmers is the way to go for now.
John Samata is our correspondent and has been updating us on the very latest on the outbreak of the swine flu in the region. Now, it is a campaign to take action against modern slavery, the severe exploitation of other people for personal or commercial gain. The launch of the effort in Accra by Action Aid Ghana is a collaboration with the Agricultural Workers Union and funded by the Norwegian Agency Development Corporation, NORAD. The project is dubbed Combating Modern Slavery in Ghana.
Modern slavery is all around us, but often just out of sight. People can become entrapped making our clothes, serving our food, packing our crops, working in factories or working in houses as cooks, cleaners or nannies. The Modern Slavery Project, which focuses on the agricultural sector, will benefit 100 communities at both the national and regional levels. Its objectives include measures to identify, prevent and address modern slavery in agricultural sector, eliminate the involvement of child labor and women in agriculture plantations under conditions of servitude, and to enhance the knowledge of individuals and communities on modern slavery practices to enable them act to prevent such practices. Unemployment, indebtedness and poverty trigger modern slavery.
Modern slavery is a product of poverty, because once you are poor, once you are powerless, once your income level is low, you are more prone to become a slave than the one who is well resourced.
The deputy head of mission at the Embassy of Norway, Mr. Sjöholm, said the embassy will support the efforts in any way possible.
We're working to bring about necessary changes in government institutions, businesses, to put an end to these harmful practices and to strengthen vulnerable individuals and groups to be able to effectively resist recruitment and engagement characterized by disturbance and exploitation.
In an urgent move to end modern slavery such as forced labor, human trafficking, debt bondage and unfair contract farming practices, key stakeholders are finding ways to ensure its sustainability.
We are creating a center which is going to be directly linked with the anti-trafficking unit of the Ghana Police Service. In other words, as a sustainability measure, Action Aid is building this project on key government institutions. As a sustainability measure, it is geared towards building behavioral changes by way of awareness creation that increases the knowledge and practices of the youth and discourages them from wanting to engage in modern-day slavery.
Target 8.7 of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, charges member states to take immediate and effective measures to deal with forced labor, modern slavery, human trafficking, and end child labor in all forms by 2020.
Now, 10 youth centers to help young people develop digital and entrepreneurship skills by accessing free online courses is to be established in 8 regions across the country. The initiative, a partnership between UNICEF and the Ghana Library Authority, will provide the youth an opportunity for peer-to-peer learning within their communities.
Engagement centers are expected to directly support at least 10,000 young Ghanaians between the ages of 14 and 24 years in the first phase of its rollout. According to UNICEF and the Ghana Library Authority, the centers will schedule engagements with industry players and mid-career professionals for mentorship support and career guidance. The executive director of the Ghana Library Authority, Mr. Hayford Sian, says the centers will be built in Ghana Library Authority spaces that are digitally connected across the country. As part of the program, young people will be engaged to play active roles as center managers, community mobilizers, and content co-creators. To the deputy representative of UNICEF, the youth centers will be an innovative and sustainable way to support young people with employable skills while facilitating participation and ownership.
We look forward to expanding our partnership with you as we work together for young people in Ghana. And I know that UNICEF and Ghana Library Authority will do our combined best to attract and inspire others from both the public and private sectors.
The 10 youth engagement centers will be hosted in Ghana Library Authority facilities in the Northern, Greater Accra, Ashanti, Upper East and West, Central, Eastern and Western regions. As part of the partnership, UNICEF has handed over 20 laptops and 11 printers to the Ghana Library Authority.
Now to the Upper West region, where basic school education in part of the Wa municipality is being impeded by lack of a conducive environment. Teachers and students say the situation affects their performance, especially so as they ready to write the BEC. When the GBC news team visited the TI Ahmadiyya cluster of schools in Wa, the school authorities and the students sent an SOS for assistance.
The Ahmadiyya cluster of schools at Wa is located off the Wa-Kumasi highway. The cluster of schools is made up of the TI Ahmadiyya Primary and JHS-A, TI Ahmadiyya Primary and JHS-B, TI Ahmadiyya Girls Primary and the TI Ahmadiyya Girls JHS. The schools have close to 500 students. For the most part, the teachers and students engage in their activities in a darkened classroom, which makes reading from the blackboard difficult. When it rains, teachers must abandon their lessons because the roof leaks badly. Also, the sound of the rain on the metal roofing makes it near impossible to communicate effectively. The schools have no designated kitchens or storeroom. This means that cooking utensils are stored in some of the classrooms. Most of the classroom furniture is broken, meaning the school pupils must share desks despite concerns of COVID-19. Teachers also use makeshift sheds as staff common room. The girls prefect for the TI Ahmadiyya Primary A spoke to GBC News.
Our teachers are not having textbooks to teach us in the school. In the classroom, when rain is falling, the rain always passes through the chains and fall in the class. The students cannot learn while it is raining. And the walls are also cracked and the floors are also cracked. We want them to come and renovate them.
The head teacher for the TI Ahmadiyya Primary A, Mohammed Akib, said enrollment is low due to the many challenges. He called on well-meaning organizations and individuals, particularly past students, to help the school.
It's hard to find our businessmen coming to help our region. You go to most of the so-called CITO schools or community-based schools. They produce whoever or whatever you can name, you can call in the country. However, everybody is lamenting of the poor academic standard. It's unfortunate. If today you are fortunate to send your ward or your child to a prestige school, it's because of the efforts your teachers and the CITO were able to put in you so that you are able today to call yourself who you are. Why can't you look back and develop the community-based schools, the mission schools?
The many concerns of the schools have, however, not gone unnoticed. Usuya Company Limited, a construction firm based in Accra, has gone to the aid of the school. Representing management of the company, Rafiq Salam, said the donation of 200 mono desks worth over 40,000 Ghana cedis
is in line with the company's social responsibility. He said, aside the desks, the company will also hand over teachers' desks and tables to the school.
It's News Hour live on GBC News and GTV. We are also broadcasting live on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. We go for a break. When we return, we'll be telling you the very latest on the world of business.